We've just arrived in Townsville with HMAS Canberra and Choules to embark elements of the 3rd Brigade on board in order to take part in Exercise Talisman Sabre 2025.
Are the US and Australia preparing for war with China? It was billed as just another training drill, but Exercise Talisman Sabre 2025 was anything but routine.
Together we built a force that could move, fight, and adapt as one.
Conducting airdrops of supplies and troops into the battlefield.
Integrated air and missile defense.
Multi-domain strike missions,
Ground defense operations,
anti-submarine warfare, and force projection. In simple terms, it's about being ready, moving fast, working together, proving we can deliver when it counts.
Held in the midst of rising global tensions, this massive military exercise spanning from Northern Australia to Papua New Guinea featured cutting-edge technology, coordinated drills across multiple domains, and participation from 19 countries. And while officials never mentioned China by name, the subtext was deafening. With Taiwan simmering, the South China Sea growing more volatile, and Beijing's influence expanding across the Pacific, a quiet question has become harder to ignore. Are the United States and Australia actively preparing for a potential war with China? Exercise Talisman Sabre TS-25 ran from July the 13th to August the 4th, 2025, with more than 35,000 troops from 19 nations, including the US, UK, Japan, India, South Korea, and the Philippines. It was the largest in the series' history. It wasn't just the scale that raised eyebrows, but the nature of what was being rehearsed. TS-25 wasn't a theoretical game, it featured real-world combat simulations. US forces fired a land-based Standard Missile-6 from Australia, hitting a ship-sized target in the ocean. Allied paratroopers, including American, French, and German units, conducted coordinated airborne landings in Queensland. Urban warfare scenarios played out in mock villages using drones, robots, and unmanned ground vehicles. Cyber units from Australia, New Zealand, and the US practiced defending against attacks on civilian infrastructure. Surveillance and communications coordination included commercial and military satellite systems. Put plainly, TS-25 was a live-action simulation of a high-end, full-spectrum war, one that closely mirrors a potential Indo-Pacific conflict involving China. There was a striking omission throughout TS-25's official briefings, no direct reference to China, yet everything else pointed toward it. From the geography to the participants, from the types of drills to the tone of Allied statements, China was the ghost in the room. UK Defence Secretary John Healey openly said that the UK and Australia were preparing to deter China. US Army Pacific Commander General Charles Flynn described the exercise as training for a conflict we hope never to fight. Neither needed to elaborate, the message was clear. This mission is strategic. Calling out China directly could inflame tensions, alienate neutral nations, or trigger retaliation, economic or otherwise. So the language stays vague, but the preparation becomes even more precise. Australia's Northern Territory sits close to key Indo-Pacific flashpoints. From there, Allied forces could be deployed quickly to Taiwan, the South China Sea, or Southeast Asia. Papua New Guinea's involvement is equally notable. Long courted both by China and Western powers, PNG's inclusion in TS-25 sends a strong signal about where its loyalties lie. In geopolitical terms, it's a soft power win for Washington and Canberra. Look closer at the guest list. The countries involved in TS-25 aren't just military allies, they're nations facing direct or indirect pressure from Beijing. Japan, regular air and sea incursions near the Senkaku Islands. India, armed border standoffs with Chinese troops. The Philippines, confrontations in the South China Sea. The UK and France, expanding presence in the Pacific as part of broader containment. Even Germany and Canada have increased their Indo-Pacific engagement. It's a pattern, and TS-25 brought it into focus. The 2025 iteration of Talisman Sabre marked a turning point, the full integration of autonomous and semi-autonomous warfare systems. FPV drones were used in urban raids, robot dogs accompanied ground forces in mock assaults, modular robotic vehicles were deployed to scout enemy positions, cyber command centres coordinated simulated responses to digital attacks. This wasn't just about human soldiers, it was a test run of the tech that will define 21st century warfare, especially in a theatre as vast and technologically advanced as the Indo-Pacific. Chinese surveillance vessels were spotted near TS-25 exercises. Satellite tracking showed Beijing keeping a close eye on movements, and Chinese state media, while restrained, did refer to the drills as provocative. It's a familiar pattern. Beijing watches, measures, and updates its own readiness accordingly. TS-25 was a performance, and China was in the audience. Australia's economic relationship with China is deep. China remains its largest trading partner, but the past few years have shown that Canberra is willing to accept short-term economic pain to strengthen its strategic autonomy. Whether it's banning Huawei from 5G networks, rejecting port leases, or tightening foreign influence laws, Australia's made it clear security comes first. TS-25 reinforced that. Whatever fallout may come, Canberra is now firmly positioned as Washington's frontline partner in the region. Talisman Sabre isn't an outlier, it's part of a broader pattern of integrated deterrence. AUKUS is accelerating Australia's access to nuclear-powered submarines. The Quad, US, Japan, India, Australia, is enhancing defence and tech cooperation. The Philippines is expanding US base access. Japan is doubling defence spending and shifting its military posture. TS-25 was a physical demonstration of these trends, an exercise designed to reassure allies, deter adversaries, and test the machinery of multilateral defence. And while the title question focuses on the US and Australia, the UK's growing involvement shouldn't be underestimated. The UK's military footprint in the Indo-Pacific is expanding under its Global Britain strategy. The deployment of HMS Prince of Wales, the UK's aircraft carrier, to join joint drills in the region, including in Talisman Sabre, is symbolic and strategic. It represents Britain's post-Brexit effort to reassert its global influence, particularly alongside key allies like the US and Australia. Britain's participation goes beyond mere solidarity. By contributing significant assets and over 3,000 personnel, the UK is not just observing, it's embedded into the operational framework of the Indo-Pacific deterrence. UK cyber, naval and intelligence capabilities were integrated into the TS-25 exercises, further aligning British defence planning with that of the US-led coalition. Back home, UK politicians from both Conservative and Labour parties have voiced support for maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific. In the context of rising global threats, British officials have framed the Indo-Pacific as a new frontier for national security, especially as critical trade routes and digital infrastructure pass through the region. So, is the UK preparing alongside the US and Australia? Yes, discreetly but decisively. From military contributions and policy alignment to joint intelligence sharing and AUKUS cooperation, the UK's involvement signals that the answer to who is preparing for a possible war with China goes beyond two flags. It's a growing coalition. Are the US and Australia preparing for war with China? They won't say so, but their actions speak volumes. From missile tests and drone warfare to cyber readiness and regional alliances, TS-25 wasn't just about being ready for anything. It was about being ready for something. And increasingly, that something looks a lot like a Taiwan crisis or South China Sea escalation. In an era of strategic ambiguity, TS-25 provided rare clarity, not through words, but through firepower, logistics, and multinational resolve.